Yeah, so we're going to start working on ChatGPT, coming from what we were talking in what I mentioned about the video before. So let's start with your ChatGPT and start creating your project. So eventually you can have a way better uh, resume building. So you can call it resume tailoring and building, whatever you. Okay,
All
so
right.
now that ChatGPT has projects, it's a game changer on how you're going to interact with ChatGPT, and you're going to see. The first thing that you want to do is add instructions. So go to the add instructions and let's start thinking on what instructions are important for you, what you do not want the AI to do. As I mentioned, mine is like do not embellish, do not make things up, do not be
Also,
grandiose.
yeah. Why make things up? Exaggerate.
Yeah, I, for example, also tell it limit to what I tell you. Limit yourself to what I tell you. If that is good for you. That is
Limits.
my way of telling it is whatever is in my resume, whatever I said, you can use. Excellent. And this is the beauty. It's like every project that we have worked on, right? Like this life. This is life. You
Yeah.
can grow it. Once you see AI doing some mistake that you hate and you have to correct it all the time, I make it an instruction. So let's start with that one. Save those instructions. Those are good. And here is where what I like starts. The files. You can start adding files to the project. You can upload as many files as you want. I don't know if they have a limit. As I mentioned before the recording, for writing, I prefer Claude AI. I prefer Claude AI because it writes more as me. Let's say that way. I actually feel that it obeys what I'm asking in terms of tone, or anything that I want to actually feel like I wrote it. I just want the AI to reorganize my thoughts because they are crazy, as you can see every time that I speak, into something that is more chewable in reading format, in writing. So I speak freely today. I'm not even thinking if I'm doing a good prompt or not. I'm just asking to what it is. But adding project files allows me to do two things. Give source materials. So in this case, let's add your resume, the
Okay.
one that you
Any
have right now.
okay, just the one that I'm using.
Yeah, the big one. If you have a master resume, like I do, I have a master resume that is like 5 pages long, where is my whole history. I'm 51, so and I've been working in computers since 1995. So
I hear
there's a
you.
lot.
Yeah, let me go. I'll use the one I've been submitting. And does it matter if it's Word or PDF or
It
anything?
it doesn't matter as long as it's understanding, and you will know if it doesn't understand it. It's gonna tell you.
Yeah, it'll load it.
So what happens is the AI tokenize everything. So this becomes just text and tokens for it.
Okay.
But sometimes also I've seen that I can ask it like use the format from that file. And if it's a PDF or a Word document, I actually kind of understand it. So it's interesting. So we're gonna add something more that you cannot add right now. But let's go to your LinkedIn page. Can you open your LinkedIn page?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing it in the screen, so probably you're just sharing the tab.
Let me see if I can share. Uh, see if, yeah, I'll share the window instead. Let's do this, and then we'll go here. Okay. Can you see that?
I see that. So go into your, you see on the top right where it says me, and it's your little picture. There is settings over there, settings and privacy, the bottom. And settings and privacy, data privacy. And then you go to, it's on the top menu. Keep going, get a copy of your data, the second one. And you can actually, I will select download the larger data archive and just request an archive. So what that's going to give you is how your headline, your status, your recommendations, the skills that you have put in LinkedIn, etc. So once you have that, the idea is to fit that into your project knowledge. Why? Because sometimes in LinkedIn, we add a skill that we forgot to put in the resume. Sometimes in LinkedIn, we have a recommendation that can be very interesting, right? Like they gave us a good recommendation and it's saying about something good about maybe something we did not put in our resume. So I started doing this to rewrite my resume. The first goal was I want a very complete, very ATS friendly, and very me resume. So I use this for a beginning, and my project changes both the resume and the LinkedIn information. So at the beginning, I use what this archive gives me. It takes like a day or 2 days. At the beginning, I use that. And then I actually, after I started changing stuff, like let's review the headline. And it will give me, advice on the headline that I have versus my resume and whatever documentation I have, etc. And at the end, when I finish doing a job of updating LinkedIn, and I like this headline, went and put it into LinkedIn, and we went to the status, and then we went through the experience. I asked it to write all my LinkedIn information in a text, and then I copied that text, saved it, and made it part of the knowledge. And I keep calling it updated LinkedIn information. And when I find something new that I need to add, I just go do a chat to add whatever I want to add. Like, oh my God, yeah, I forgot that I worked for years with AWS. I'm mentioning something that I'm making up. And I wanted to put in my way more on top on my about. I work on that. So what I do is either I edit that document or I actually ask the AI, okay, we made changes. Just give me again the document with the new changes and just replace it and keep replacing it. So I have the more modern version. And same I do with my resume. I keep the latest version. So this is an example of the kind of information that you want to put in there. You don't need to have a special formatting in those files. You don't need to have anything because everything is going to be tokenized and it's going to be understood. So when you get it, I really advise it to put it in the project. But let's go back to ChatGPT.
He said that'll take a couple of days, possibly, for them to email you.
You get an email and you get first an email saying you have a piece of it, and then like next day, tomorrow, you're gonna get an email. You have your full stuff, and it's CSV files and stuff like that, which can also work for what we heard this morning about, sometimes your contacts in there, you don't realize who you have in your contacts. It's a good idea to take a look at it.
Right.
Okay, so we have your resume. This will be the second thing that I will add. So can you open a text editor? And it doesn't even have to have any, however, it's easier for you to type.
Let's see what they've got here. Notepad.
Notepad is perfect. It doesn't have to be anything special. And you don't even have to share it. But what I want you to write is, what do you consider if you could introduce your resume to the person? and tell that person, whoever that is, whatever is the job posting, this is why I'm good. You maybe don't read this in my resume, but I'm a really good fast learner. I am very adaptive. You have to see what I did, and just type a couple things, very anecdotal. Don't worry about format. You can be absolutely chaotic on what you're writing there. Just it's all those thoughts, and that's how I started. This is all I want to say in my resume, but the freaking resume has to have a format in a way, right? I cannot
Yeah.
put all this in the resume. So the first document after the resume that I did was something like this. So I invite you to give it a try. You can add more later, but
So like people leadership,
yeah, and make
experience.
it very anecdotal. If you have an anecdotes that show like I'm so good at this that a day 10 years ago I had a customer coming screaming at me, and at the end of the call they were hugging me. I'm just making something up, right? It's that kind of
Gotcha.
stuff, the stuff that you cannot put in the resume.
And let's see. So let's see. Return and made away. Made a way for myself to get into product management and technology as a career. And let's say I form relationships very quickly. It takes me long to get to know people and gain their trust, stuff like that.
Yes, correct. That's what we want.
So, and I can add more things to this.
And
This
and
is just
I the reason I have two of those is because I wanted to add more, and I just added another one. But you can edit this and keep it like in your computer and just replace the file. Delete the file from the project knowledge, add the file to the project knowledge whenever you need it. Yes. And again, for me, this process is a live process. It's how I do with my customers with documentation. You have to start with a tiny document that says we're going to develop locally in the case of my customers. And then you can expand. We're going to develop locally using DDEF. And then you find something else, and you keep growing it. This is alive.
right.
I'm
Okay, so I
sending you
just added a
some
couple of
docs that can be very interesting, and I don't mind share them because they are not anything. So I'm trying.
proprietary or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's where is
I was going to make a place here in,
so yeah, I keep exactly. I keep I knowledge. Here it is.
it's actually, I'll just make a folder in here called resume builder knowledge files. Great. We'll call this more about me. Save it. All right. And I can go in, like you said,
Let
and
me get this. This is a good one. And this one. So open. Okay, I sent you a couple documents. If you can get them from your email, let's add them.
all right, you send them to my email, you said?
Yes, yes. And you don't need to show your email, just get the file.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have anything. Oh, that's not it. There you go. All All right. Download. All right. And so let's see, downloads. All right. So let me put those in my folder. And then,
Upload them to the project.
yeah, just looking real quick to see.
Yeah, you
So
can.
this is the stuff you were showing me that's got, stuff to avoid in your resume. Then you've got the LinkedIn tips about your different sections, and then you've got the advice on keywords that you want to use in your resume. So these are assumptions for the GPT to use to do better output, correct?
Exactly. So this is how I think about this, how I will do it. I want to know all this. I want to have this in my head and apply it when I'm writing the resume. I will not. I cannot do it. I mean, but ChatGPT can. So we have some information here. So let's close the project files. And let's ask ChatGPT to review your resume based on the project files and see if we are missing something, or we can improve something. However you want to say it. I kind of start with just testing what's the response I'm gonna get.
And what am I prompting it to do? Review the resume based on the project files, and
Let's find out if we can enhance our resume.
so it's just telling me to include more data.
It's gonna tell you because it's part of the of all the recommendations. You don't have to do it. It's that for me was the hardest part. What I do was very difficult to measure. Besides, like, dude, my customer renewed me for 9 years. I have customers that were with me since the beginning at Acquia, and the only reason I'm leaving them is because I'm leaving Acquia. But that's the way.
Gotcha.
So you see that?
Yeah, it looks like it's having trouble maybe with the PDF.
It is possible. It is possible. So you can start fixing the stuff, because once you start creating, what I keep is a copy of somewhere. But let's gonna do another one, because I didn't see it in what it put.
How does it know this? Let's see here.
So not everything that it's gonna say is something that you have to do.
Right.
It is giving you ideas. So, but we need to tell it, because I didn't see it in there. There is a document called More About Me, I believe you called it, where I share more experiences that may be valuable for a resume. Is there anything there that we should add? And again, when I speak to it, it's very, oh yeah, you're more about me. There you go.
Yeah, so it is pulling stuff out of there. So I'm saying that brief leadership philosophy section. Yeah, I don't want to add another section.
But remember, this is your master resume. If you actually, when you finish preparing this, the resume that you're going to send is a chat with ChatGPT that is going to be, this is the job posting. I want you to tailor this resume. And you can actually tell it, I want this resume to be 2 pages. I want this resume to only have the last 4 years. Take this experience out, add this experience, because it's more relevant. So for me, this on my first resume is important. I mean, if I need to have 25 sections in the resume, that's okay, because that's not the resume I'm sending to the people.
So you're saying right now we're building the big resume.
That's how I see it, yes. Because you
Okay.
need a big context for the AI, right? About your
Okay.
resume. So
Gotcha.
you my first step is to build a resume that is gonna live in the project knowledge.
Gotcha.
That has everything, which maybe for job A, leadership philosophy section is not important, but maybe it's in section B that, or I mean, section B, job B needs that section. So it's giving it food so it can start picking and choosing whenever you are tailoring.
So you could say then for this one, um, for the bullet points that need more quantifiable, uh, quantifiable data, um, let me know which ones need to be improved and ask me the questions that will help you improve them.
That's fantastic. There you go.
Yeah, so then it's going to ask you how much did the Wes improve efficiency? So I could answer these questions and then it could update those bullets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whatever you get, and every time you get a good result, make sure. For me, it has been like long conversations about the tailoring, for example, where I am looking at what it's telling me to say, and I'm like, no, I will not say that. Change this word. That word is too complicated. Keep it simple. I don't know. I give commands. I will come at the end of that chat when I get the final result that I kind of like or I really like and say, okay, based on what we talk, give me a framework of everything I ask that demonstrate how my resume should be or something like of the sort. And it actually will give you, yeah, you ask me not to exaggerate these words. You want to use plain language. You want to, and then you add that to the project knowledge. Sometimes I
Gotcha.
ask, okay, I told you many things to change in this interaction. Give me a detailed report of everything that I ask you. And I make that part of the, and sometimes I take stuff when it's not needed. Sometimes I put it on. Think about what you do not want to repeat
Mm-hmm.
all the time, and it was good. But let's say you have an error here. Let's say, and this is important, this is a very important point. If some answer is actually hallucinating, and I was hoping for some hallucinations at this point from it, or
Mm-hmm.
actually just uh, let's tell it, give me a version of the resume in the canvas of the improved resume, so it knows we want the new stuff. So they both do everything in Markdown, which is good because if you have it enabled and it's something easy to enable, I can't remember right now how it is. You can go on Google and paste from Markdown,
Mm-hmm.
and you get the. But you're gonna see some changes.
Yeah, see, it just added this right here.
Is that true?
Not that I know of. Yeah, I don't know.
I love it. This is what I was looking for. Sometimes it hallucinates, right?
Yeah,
If you haven't said anything, should not put it in there.
right.
But this is the point that I wanted to do. We're gonna let it finish.
Okay.
And usually, what is your next step for most people is to write another message asking for corrections, right? And like in that example, like I never said that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that causes what I call, especially in ChatGPT, the circular hallucination. Fix one, then you fix something more, and then it comes back to the error. So what I will do, yeah, you can share it, you can copy it and paste it in Google. It's very interesting what you can do after that.
Yeah.
But since we saw something that is made up, right?
Hmm.
Let's go back to your previous message. So close the canvas for a second. Don't try to ask for a correction. But when we said, give me a version of the improved resume in the canvas, if you hover, you can edit that message.
Yeah.
So put a comma and say, make sure you only use what I have told you. Do not make things up. So we saw something that was made up, right?
Hmm.
So probably maybe it will have worked in this case in a next message or kind of clarification message, like this part is not good.
Hmm.
But if you feel that is really getting confused, right? And you know what it got confused on, it's making stuff up. This technique, I've discovered that is better
Hmm.
for more accuracy.
Yeah, and I've tried that sometimes, and like you were saying in our meeting earlier, sometimes you'll tell it, don't make stuff up. Yeah, see, it didn't make up that stat this time, so that's good. But sometimes you'll tell it, don't make anything up, and it'll keep making it up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I've seen that happen, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, and in those cases, for me, is I will send a message like, "Are you sure you're following the instructions?" Again, for me, not because I believe they are sentient, it's because the interaction and the speed of how I interact with it is better, right?
Hmm.
Like, what the hell did you just say?
Yeah.
And then it comes back, especially Claude AI, as I said, is better on that. We'll say, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I see in your instructions that I should not be embellishing. Will
Yeah.
this work better?
Well, here's one thing I was asking you about earlier, and I have seen this, and this takes a long time. See, I don't, but right now it's just making the big version, like you said. But like
Yes.
this right here, if I go into the actual, here, let's just go. I think it's in. No, it's in here. Pages, resumes. Let's go into
I'm
this
not sure
Word
we're
file.
seeing what you're doing right now.
Can you see the?
I'm seeing the canvas only at the end of
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me go to. Hold on a second. Do entire screen. There. All right. Do not share your entire screen or browser window. All right. So can you see this?
Yes.
So this is the format that this file's in, right? And
And it
so,
changed it a little, yes.
well, no, if I were to get, yeah, I mean, if I were to go in now and I were to copy this, it won't retain the format.
Okay,
Like
so
I
this is,
would have to reformat the whole document over again.
you don't. Click on the on the copy button on the top right, the little two squares. Go to Google Docs, open an empty Google Doc. Just create a blank Google Doc. Do right click.
Oh,
Oh, you don't have that enabled. Go to tools. No, yeah, show me tools. Preferences. Believe it's in there. Enable Markdown. Now do right click and paste from Markdown. They provide what you copy is in Markdown.
yeah, but how do I get it back?
Yeah, that's one of the problems. Yeah, it's not gonna get the format that you have, but you can ask it to create a format that is ATS friendly.
You're talking about in ChatGPT?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a trade-off that I had to do. Is I will go with the format that they give me. It's still a good format.
Yeah, and you could say here, ensure that
There you go.
outputs are ATS friendly. Right.
Exactly. Now that becomes part of every chat that you're doing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we don't have much time, but something that I want you to do is play with this, then bring a job post, even if you don't plan to apply, like a job post that you could be interested.
Yeah.
So work on this personalization. Let it be big. Let that resume that it is creating big. Add more stuff. Discuss with it. Argue with the ChatGPT. I don't want that. I want you to add this. I don't know if that happens to you. It happens to me a lot. When I start reading, I remember, oh, I also did this in this job.
Yeah.
So you can tell ChatGPT, oh, in this experience, I remember that I did all this, right? And see how it comes out. If I think the whole experience is very important but cannot be all put in the resume, I will go and add it in the more about me document. So it's part of everything that it has.
Right.
When you have a good resume, just replace, go put it in Google Docs, export it as a docx. I recommend docx for resumes because apparently ATS are better with docx. And remember that little something is wrong on the PDF comment that we saw at the beginning?
Yeah.
That can happen. Docx is not going to happen. Replace your resume and ask for a tailoring. So here is this job post. We're going to tailor the resume.
Okay.
Ask it everything that you want. Make it, if it says something that you don't like, write it down. Put it in a message. Don't forget, if it starts getting really confused, if you see like this is going to hell, this is not working, go back to the moment of the conversation when you know it got confused, edit that one, and restart the conversation with more instructions in that comment.
Yeah.
And that's the best tactic. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to get it like, you remember like 3 messages ago, you said this, that is better. Yeah. Like, no, go to 3 messages ago where it went kaput and say, keep this part or whatever you see is what is confusing it.
Do you use the voice input? Is that what you're using when you talk to it or you type to it? Do you
I type like I'm typing to an assistant. I'm not even thinking if it's gonna understand it. I'm not even thinking if it's a good prompt.
Mhm.
I don't even think about prompt engineering. I think
Yeah.
about what I wanted to do.
Right.
And as I said, let's do this prompt. What comes out? Ooh, I like what came out. Okay, I'll leave it. I didn't
Yeah.
like it. I'll edit it and try to figure it out. Like I'm ESL, so sometimes the words I use to ask it get it confused.
Yeah, because it's looking for a different sentence structure or something.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
go back, and especially because sometimes in English, and most of the information that it has is in English, especially if we are speaking in English.
Yeah.
There are words that are not exactly the same meaning or used the same way. So I just go back like, oh God, no, that's not what I wanted. So I read and like, this is what, okay, no. And I go and correct the message.
Yeah.
So I keep, because once you let all those mistakes in the conversation, now all those mistakes are also part of the context.
Right. Yeah.
So the AI is going to think that that is okay, no matter how many times you told it not to. So what I want to get rid of confusions by editing. But what
Yeah.
I want you to do is go to another chat at some point when you feel okay with the resume that you have at this point, tailor a resume. Fight with it. Imagine you're talking to your kid and the kid is helping you write. That's how I imagine. Why
Hmm.
would you do that? Don't write that. No, change that. That's not good. No, that's not professional, or that's too professional. That's my case. Okay, like that's too formal. Yeah, you're not gonna catch me saying that.
Right.
I will type directly stuff like that
Yeah.
because I'm not trying to think on the prompt. I'm trying to think on what I want to say. When you finish that tailoring, if you liked it, ask ChatGPT, from all the work we did here, provide a framework for future tailorings.
Yeah.
And if
Okay.
that, and you can add that represents what I'm asking you, what I want, that and what I have been telling you in this chat. And then that becomes your first tailoring framework. And
Yeah.
it goes into the document, and you don't have to ask the same things the next time. So next tailoring, it already knows what you don't want it to do.
Right.
And don't fear repeating yourself. Like you said, sometimes you tell it not to make stuff up and it makes stuff up. So
Hmm.
the more it is in your project knowledge that don't make stuff up, the
Hmm.
better chances that it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, man. I'm definitely gonna go, feed it more information and see, if I can first of all get all of my information into that resume, and then like you said, I'll start prompting it to improve the information, and
Correct.
get it to a point where I feel good about it, and then once I have that ready, and then we want to try to tailor it to a job description, and maybe you and I can get back together on it,
And
see
see
how it
how it
works.
went.
Yeah.
But that's
No,
that's what I've been
that's
doing.
interesting.
And honestly, I've tried several of the tools, the free version. And when I ask those tools to tailor my resume, it is BS.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are you doing? I don't want
Yeah.
all this work again. So that's why I'm putting all this work in my AI, in my project AI, right?
It makes a lot of sense. Do you have to have the paid version to have access to the projects?
Sadly, you have to have the paid versions to
Gotcha.
have
Okay.
access, but it's $20 for each one. And if you are
Yeah.
actively looking and you're paying for Teal, I saw that you have Teal. Teal is about
Well,
35.
I haven't paid for that one. I paid for Kick Resume. You can still use the AI whether you pay for them or not. So you can use Kick Resume is a good one. Teal is
Yeah,
okay. But yeah, and that's like $20. I'll probably cancel that because all it does that's different from the AI part of it is it does all this formatting, but the formatting doesn't really help your resume anyways. Like you don't want it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to have your picture or pretty colors or
exactly.
yeah.
You,
So
you 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 just want the person to read it, and I'll send you later. I will extract from my tailoring framework the 10 seconds rule because I did not save that separate.
yeah, if you feel comfortable emailing me like all the files that you sent, then I can look and see, okay, I want to have the same for mine, or,
Yeah.
and maybe we don't use the same data, but I want to make sure I'm thinking about all the sections that you put in the knowledge files.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And as I said, half of those files, I create them. That's why I want that exercise for you, because this is the beauty. I see a blog about resumes or a good post about resumes on LinkedIn.
Mm,
I don't read it anymore.
right.
I'm like, okay, this sounds interesting. Do I trust this person? Yes, that can be good. Copy paste. It is public. They published it. So copy
Yeah.
paste goes to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And I do a chat round, right? Like I just added a document. So that happened with the 13 red flags. I added the document 13 red flags. Check my resume against that. And then it will tell you. And then you decide, like, yeah, this proposal I like, this, forget about that one. We're going to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And
you should tell it to write a process document and turn it into an article for LinkedIn, and then, or how you did this, and then publish it on LinkedIn. Like, your process you came up with for building a resume GPT and tailoring your resume. You know what I'm saying? Publish it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's part of. We did publish something from the call that I did with Nohra, and I actually published it in drupalcouple.us.
Yeah.
But I want to add this and what I have in 5 minutes with Luke.
Yeah.
To see different options. Cool. That's why I wanted you, and thank you for letting me record it, because that is something that I wanted, like go through examples and you can see how it just starts adding stuff like that leadership paragraph. I know it's more stuff, but you can see the value for some kind of job post, not for everything.
Right.
But it's already done. You can read how it brought it. And if you do at least 1 or 2 months of Claude AI, and then you get your resume, the result that you get with ChatGPT, and put it on Claude.
Yeah.
You are, and then you start arguing about tone, so especially about tone with Chat. Like, I changed this. I prefer it to sound like this. And it detects, it's very good at detecting also you prefer more formal, or you prefer more anecdotal, or you prefer more. And yes, I like that. And then also ask it to create a framework or give the framework you created with ChatGPT and tell it to add or improve. And it's a process. And I keep doing that until I'm happy. And then right now, I only tell it, job post, Taylor, go. Perfect.
Yep. Very cool, man. Well, I'm going to check it out. I've got to jump to another call, but
have a good afternoon.
I really appreciate you sharing this with me, Carlos.
No problem.
So you have a good afternoon too. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.